For this exercise, we're going to start off with the file PR4-01 and make sure once we open it up, enable editing, and then we're going to do a file save as, and we're going to name it PR4-customer profile for Old World Walks. Quickly, we're going to go to page layout and apply the banded theme. And then we're going to select A1 through J45. And from there, we're going to jump over to the Home tab. And in the Home tab, we're going to format as table. And we're going to select table style light 12. So with light, we're going to go to the 12th style. So pink. Well, it doesn't say pink, but we're going to go with the pink table style light 12. That's fine. And click OK. In the table name box, we're going to name the table July list. So in table design, we have a table name box up in the properties group. We're going to name it July list, no spaces. Press enter. We're going to select columns D to G. And then we're going to hold Control and select column I. We're going to go to Home, and from there we're going to reduce the width of the columns to 10. And then we're going to click Wrap Text so that the text gets wrapped in the cells. We're going to go ahead and double click in cell F1 so we can put our insertion point in there. And from there, we're going to put the insertion point between tour and region. And from there, we're going to press Alt-Enter. Okay. And then we're going to go to cell J2. And we're going to insert a formula to calculate total costs in this cell. So we're going to multiply the value of cell C2 by the value of cell I2. C2 times I2. And then we're going to press enter. Now we're going to select I and J columns and we're going to apply the accounting format. So it applies those formats to the spreadsheet. Then we're going to look at figure 4-11 as a guide, and we're going to click in cell L1, and we're going to enter and format the labels in cell L1 through L6, and the shading in cells M2 to M6, and then widen column L. So in L1, we're going to type in statistics, total value of tours sold, total number of groups, total number of guests served, total number of groups, total number of guests 60 plus, and percent of guests 60 plus. I'm going to right align those cells. Double click on L to make that larger. We need to right align statistics as well. We're going to put a 16-point font, bold it, and center it. And then with M1 or M2 through M6. We need to shade these. Each one of these needs to be a different shade of 60% lighter. Or 60% lighter are right here. So I guess we're just going to go down and pick a different shade of 60% lighter across all the ranges. Don't forget to save your progress. Then in cell M2, oh, it looks like I forgot the D in sold. Let me fix that really fast. In cell M2, we're going to type in equals sum, and we're going to sum up the range J2 through J45. So we're going to select the range, and it's important we select the range this time, not type it in. So select J through J45. And the reason why we did that is I wanted you to pay attention to what happens to the formula, because we're using a table as generating special table code for us instead of just putting the cell range in there. And what it's telling us to do is in M2 is to sum from July list, which is our table name, the field total cost. So our field right here is total cost in this table July list. And that way, if we add another row or multiple rows to our table, it will automatically sum that additional row in there because it is pulling the information from everything in that entire column of total costs. So, on that parenthesis, press enter. Number of guests in here, we are going to do another sum formula. And so what we can do is we can type in the information from our table. So we can do July list. And as you notice, as we start typing, the table appears right here. We can just double click on it and it automatically generates that for us. Then we're going to bracket and we're going to choose the particular column we want to use. And this time we're looking for guests. So we can just double click on guests and bracket and parenthesis. And it automatically generates that code for us or when we double click on those things. And that's another way that we can reference our table. And then we're going to do total number of groups. Which is going to, we're going to use the count A function to do that. So we're going to click the function button up here. We're going to look for count A. Double click on that. And what count A is going to do is it counts the number of cells in a range that are not empty. So if we have any cells in here that have 0, it's not going to count them. So we're going to select the range A2 through A45. And again, it generated that code for the table. Press OK. So 44 groups. Now in M5 we're going to do a count if function. And what count if is going to do is going to count whatever range we're giving it according to the criteria we're giving it. So at the function button, do count if, find it, OK. So the first thing is we're going to feed it a range, and the range is the cells that we want to count, well, at least if they're not blank. And we want to count the average age if the age is greater than or equal to 60. So basically that's how we're going to count the number of guests, 60 plus. So we're going to feed it July list, open bracket, average age, close bracket, press tab, and our criteria will be greater than, I want to point out I open the quotation, greater than sign, equal sign, 60, end quote. So that's what it's saying. We're going to look at the range July on our table July list. We're going to look at average age column. We're going to only look for values that are above 60, and we're going to count each one of those that are above 60. So that's what our COUNTIF does. And then percent of guess 60 plus. So that one's going to be pretty easy since we have total number of guess 60 plus, and then we also have total number of groups. So if we do the math on those two, we can get a percentage. And the why I'm pausing for a second is that's not exactly telling us the percentage of guess to our 60 plus. That's telling us the percentage of groups who have an average age of 60 or higher. So anyway, we want to format that as a percentage because we're looking for the percentage. And then we're going to save this workbook and move on to the next page, which is to analyze the list. So we're going to double click on sheet number 1, and we're going to name it list. And then we're going to add a new workbook. Double click on that, call it analysis. And then we're going to add another worksheet on here. We're going to call that customer profile. These are worksheets, not workbooks. A workbook's the entire file. I misspoke. We're going to click the list sheet, and we're going to click the filter button on average age. And from there, we're going to point to number filters, and we are going to go to greater than or equal to, and we're going to type in 60. So we're going to go find all those groups who average age is senior or above. Press OK, and you can see that it sifted out and left us with those groups. Then we're going to select A1 through J45. And we're going to copy, Control-C, or you can copy in a different way. And then we're going to go to the analysis sheet, and we're going to paste. And when we pasted it as a range and not a table. So we lost all those table features, but that's fine. Now we're going to sort this new range. So click anywhere in the range, doesn't matter. Make sure you're in the Home tab, Editing Group, Sort and Filter, Custom Sort. We're going to do a multi-level sort here. And what a multi-level sort does, it allows us to sort by one criteria first, and then once that criteria is sorted, we're going to sort by a second criteria without changing the initial sort. So for example, in this case, we're going to first sort by country, and then within country, we're going to sort by region. So we're going to have two levels. So I click the Add Levels button, sort by home country, or not home country, but tour country, and then we're going to go to tour region. So sort by tour country, we're going to do values from A to Z, then by tour region, cell values A to Z. Press OK, and you can see our whole list got sorted first by tour country, so all the Frances are grouped together, all the Italys are grouped together, and then after we sorted it by tour country, we sorted it by tour region, so that within France, Loire Valley is sorted with each other, and Providence, France, and so on. Now what we want to do is we want to click on the subtotal button, so we got to go to the Data tab, click Subtotal. And from here, we are going to click at each change, and we're going to ensure that we have tour country selected right here. And then we want to make sure use function sum is selected, and then total cost checkbox is checked. And we want to make sure replace current subtotal is checked and summary below data is checked. So what that means is every time we change tour country, we're going to run this totals function again. Press OK, and you'll see that we have now created a totals row at the end of our table according to our tour country. Now we're going to go back to our list sheet tab, and we're going to click the filter button, and that removes the filter from our table. And then we're going to go to the Insert tab, and from the Insert tab we're going to click Pivot Table. So pivot tables will allow us to manipulate our data in a different kind of way. And then we're going to put that table in an existing worksheet. So down at the bottom here, click existing worksheet. And from that, we're going to click the analysis tab. And then we're going to scroll down and click cell A28. And then we're going to click OK. That means it's going to put that pivot table right there on cell A28. So there's our pivot table location. And now we can modify that pivot table. So what we can do is we can select what we want in the pivot table. We're going to click Home Country, and that adds it to our rows area. And you can see how our pivot table updates live when we do that. And we also want to scroll down to the Pivot Charts pane to see the total cost. And we're going to drag total cost down to values. You see that added it to our pivot table. And now we want to select ranges B29 through B36. We'll click our Home tab. And then we're going to apply the accounting format, since it will make these look a little bit better right here, how they should look. And then we're going to click the Pivot Tools Analyze tab. And we're going to click Pivot Chart. And we're going to click Pi. And then we're going to click OK. And then we'll move this down. Oops. I want to move the whole table down. So make sure you click that white area in the table to move it down. And we want it to start in cell D28. And then we're going to save our workbook.